Alright, got an '06 Dodge Ram 2500 5.9 Cummins, and I'm troubleshooting a power loss issue. Leaning towards it being the injectors. I've already done regular maintenance, the fuel filters, the air dog fuel filters. I've replaced the air filter, checked all of the boots between the turbo and the intercooler, and intercooler to the intake. Boots seem fresh, no leaks on them. Found a company online, S&S Injector, that I'm going to get these things ripped out, sent off, get them cleaned and inspected to see if I have any issue. Some of the symptoms have been slight dingy smoke at idle and low speeds on my one setting on my EFI Live, which is a economy setting. Usually this truck doesn't smoke, just idling around town. Wide open throttle, I'm only getting about 40 to 45 pounds of boost. I normally, wide open throttle, this truck will run up to about 55 pounds of boost. I have no check engine lights. Fuel pressure between the air dog and the CP3 are good. 10,000, 27,000 pounds on the rail. So I'm leaning towards maybe a plugged injector or faulty injector. So we're going to rip them out and send them off. We're going to disconnect the battery cables. Remove this intake horn. Aftermarket boost gauge on the back. I'm going to remove this grid heater. Take a cloth down in here just to keep anything from falling down in there. Alright, we'll unplug these connectors. Remove the crankcase vent tubes. Oil cap. Put this board here to hold up that fire mat. I do want to prevent as much dirt from going down in the head as possible. I'm going to take the valve cover off. She's pretty clean. Alright. We're going to use a 19 to bust these lines loose. Alright, we'll label those and remove them. A 24 millimeter on these fuel rod lock nuts. Okay, I'm going to use an 8 millimeter magnetic socket bit to get these fuel injector solenoid nuts off. And they are crimped onto the wire. Alright, we're going to lift off this valve cover gasket wiring harness combo. Get it out of the way. Now we're going to remove the exhaust rocker assembly. It'd be this longer one reaching over here to the exhaust valves. So we're going to remove every other one to allow the injector to come out. That feels like that's attached in there. Right there in front of my thumb, there's a dimple. And that's going to go on the front exhaust valve. I'm just going to check all the solenoids on the injectors. I'm looking at the resistance, so I got my meter set it to ohms. The spec was 1 or below, you know, I think 0.5 to 1 is normal. I think anything over 1.2 is bad. So we'll go through and check these. 0.7, 0.7, 1.4, 7.8, 0.7, 1.5, 1.6. I'll have to go back and look at the video, but either number 3 or 4 was a 1.1, 1.2, and that number 6 solenoid at the back was a 1.6. So I guess according to the spec, those are out. I'll go ahead and get those replaced. Now we're going to get down to getting the injector out. These are 8mm hold down bolts. So we're going to start pulling these injectors out. Okay, so there's a little slot on the side. Put a napkin down for a little bit of cushion on that machine surface. So I'm pulling up right there. Okay. Okay, there's the first one. Okay. 2. There's 3. There's number 4. Okay, she's up. Number 6 is out. So we got these clean. We're gonna see how that goes as far as getting them sent off, getting them rebuilt, and getting them back in. Have the truck sitting off to the side until they come back, and we'll install them and see the performance difference. Alright, I got the report back from S&S Diesel from my 6 injectors I sent in, and number 6 definitely, you can see, just failed. I wasn't getting any flow through it. Had a high rate of return. Down here on their notes, they said that most of my injectors failed their test. Number 2 had a broken divider. They also said the injectors have VCO nozzles, and he told me that they don't carry those anymore. They don't install those in injectors anymore. That if I wanted to rebuild them, he'd have to special order those nozzles. And of course, he talked about number 6 having too high of a return to test. He said those injectors were built similar to the S&S 30% over injectors, and he recommended to go ahead and replace them all. And that's when I went ahead and just ordered their 30% overs. But yeah, you can see the first 5 weren't that bad off. Looks like 2, 3, and 4. 2 and 4 flowed a little less. Number 3 flowed over their variance of 5%, and number 6 just didn't flow hardly at all. So yeah, we'll get the new set in. Alright, I didn't film a lot of this cleaning because it's really boring, but I've been using just some regular plastic cleaning brushes and my wife's paint dabbers. They work really good for getting to all these little channels. And the oil that's up in here is real greasy and tacky, so I've been spraying it with just isopropyl alcohol and loosening it up, wrapping a paper towel around those dabbers and just wiping it out. So I got the valve cover cleaned up. Just used a mixture of isopropyl alcohol and wiping it down. A little bit of PB blaster on the heavy gunky sludge. So these rocker arms have oil ports in them. So I took them apart and cleaned them up. You can see the oil port right there, oil port right there. So took those apart and cleaned them. Got this fuel rail from XDP. Looks like it's a Bosch. Came with a new pressure sensor and a RV. Injector install kit from BD Diesel. It comes with the new valve cover gasket, injector harness, grid heater gaskets. I've got here all new fuel lines. Injector tubes from Bosch. The injectors come from S&S Diesel. Test results for the injectors. All new. Okay, now we're going to clean the port where the injector is stabbed into. We'll have to make sure the sealing surface where this copper washer seats, we'll have to clean that. So the well is underneath these rocker arms. Mine weren't too dirty, but what I'm going to do is spray some isopropyl alcohol down in them, lop them out real good, and blow them out with an air hose. And we'll also blow out the port. Make sure they're both perfectly clean before we go to stab the injectors, and we'll do that for all 6 of them. Okay, so I got this little 1/4-inch wooden dowel, and it does slide down perfectly inside the injector hole. It sits right on top of the piston, so it kind of also seals off the injector hole to keep any kind of debris from going down in. So I'll spray my isopropyl alcohol in here and up in here and just spray it back and forth till it's all evaporated. Try to make sure I get all the dust and debris from inside both these ports. The hole, so got all the debris out of it. Now we'll do that for all 6 of them. Apply some of this engine assembly grease. We're going to put it right around this O-ring, around the entrance of the hole. We do need to line up the fuel injector tube hole right with the fuel injector tube hole on the side of the head, right there. Put a finger on each side of the injector, push it down like that, clicked. Install the injector hold down bolts. We'll start them both evenly hand tight. So now we have to seat the injector. So we're going to torque it down to 44 inch-pounds and then back it off, and then we'll install the injector tube. Alright, there's about 44. Alright, so now we'll back them off loose. And now the injector can move when we install the injector tube. We'll have to lubricate the O-ring, and this injector tube will only go in upright where these 2 detent balls are. So lubricate the seat. And the O-ring. Okay, clicked in place. So we're gonna get the injector tube retainer nut, put just a dab of anti-seize on it, get it started. Torque down the fuel connecting tubes retaining nut to 132 inch-pounds, 24 millimeter socket. There we go. We can torque down the fuel injector hold down bolts to 89 inch-pounds. So now we're going to torque down the fuel injector connecting tubes retaining nut to 444 inch-pounds or 37 foot-pounds. Go. Okay, so now we're going to repeat that process 5 more times. Alright, now that we're done installing the injectors, we're going to install all the rocker arms. We'll start off by installing these crosshead valve bridges. Inspect the seating surfaces and look for cracks. I guess these are notorious for cracking right around where the socket is. We'll put a little bit of engine assembly lube on them. And the nipple goes towards the front of the engine. I'm going to install a little assembly lube on this rocker seat just for startup, and make sure the ball sets in the push rod. And then we're going to torque down this rocker arm bolt to 27 foot-pounds or 324 inch-pounds. And then we will repeat that for the rest of the 5 rocker arms. Okay, so the next step is going to be checking or adjusting, if necessary, the valve lash. So we'll have to get the motor to top dead center. To get top dead center, you got to rotate the engine. The manual says use a barring tool. I guess there's a spot, a window on the bell housing that you can get to the flywheel and turn it over. I don't have that tool. I'll see if I can turn it with a harmonic balancer bolt. Alright, so we're going to rotate this until we get the top dead center mark and we can mark it. It's right there. We'll get a paint pen and we'll mark that there. Alright, so I got the bottom marked while my top is set at top dead center, so it'll be easier to find it next time. So we're going off just straight up. There you go, you can see it right there. So that is about as close to 12 o'clock as I'm gonna get. To be top dead center, you're supposed to be 12 o'clock, and these are both supposed to be really loose. So since they're tight, we are at 360 degrees off of top dead center right now. So this is the procedure we're going to start here using the barring tool, which we didn't. One complete revolution 360 degrees, which that's where we're at right now, and that's what we're starting with. Intake 10 thousandths and the exhaust desired is 22 thousandths. We're going to do intake 3, 5, and 6, exhaust 2, 4, and 6. This is the valves for cylinder number 3. Alright, I guess 360 degrees off of top dead center. They're both loose. This is your intake valve. It's a smaller rocker arm. This is your exhaust valves. It's a larger rocker arm. We're going to use a feeler gauge, 10. So that's 10 thousandths feeler gauge. And we want just a slight drag. Loosen the lock nut, loosen the set screw. So I got a 14 millimeter wrench, a 5 millimeter Allen head socket. That's loose. Alright, so we'll slide in the 10 thousandths feeler gauge. We just got a lot of play. Tighten the set screw down. I'm starting to get a lot of drag there. Okay, I can't even move it. You can kind of feel where you just want a slight amount of drag right there. Now we want to hold the Allen head right where it's at and slowly tighten the lockdown nut. Perfect. So we'll do that for 3, 5, and 6, and then we'll come back and do the exhaust. Alright, the exhaust valves I need to adjust is 2, 4, and 6. They are 22 thousandths. I'm going to go ahead and start with 6 since I already got the camera adjusted that way. And it sucks the most. Yeah. Maybe. Keeps going back straight. There we go. Alright, nice and loose. Oh, that stopped it. Right there's got a little bit of drag. I'll hold the Allen still. Pull the wrench over, tighten it up. Yeah, it's got a little bit of drag. Looks good. Let's turn this 360 degrees. Alright. That's 360 degrees, so this one should both be loose. Loose. Loose, okay. 1, 2, and 4 on the intake. 1, 3, and 5 on the exhaust. Oh, we're all going to there. Alright, valve's adjusted. I'm ready for the gasket. I'm gonna wipe down the sealing surface. Alright, we can take these guys off. Alright, torque spec on those is 11 inch-pounds. Alright, I did notice that the harness plug on this new valve cover gasket has a pin that's bent over on it. Almost. There we go. I'm going to pour a little bit of diesel oil inside these rocker arms. Just for startup. And pour it all over your intake. Get a little bit on my finger. Just lubricate this gasket. Put the valve cover on. Got the bottom surface of this clean. Got those back 2 bolts out so they don't catch on anything, any wiring. Slide it up in there. It's a tight fit. these down. All right, we'll torque these down to 18 foot-pounds or 216 inch-pounds. Let's go ahead and remove these plugs. That will. There we go. There we go. I'll set that aside. Okay. A washer on the bottom and a washer on top. So we've got that pressure relief valve line unhooked. Unhook the line from the CP3. It's tight. Alright. Old high pressure line. That guy. So I just found out that the previous owner put a plug PSV in. What I'm going to do is leave the new one in, and if it has a problem, so I'll keep this plug and swap it out. But I'm not going to tighten these up till the end after I get all the tubing on. Got it blown out and wiped down, so we're going to reuse this thing for now. Okay. Let's install all these hand tight. So here's all the new injector lines by BD Diesel. BD Diesel did send some pretty nice instructions with pictures how to get everything off to get down to the fuel lines. And just says if installing injectors, install now. Then yeah, just says the same thing what we were going to do, install everything finger tight, and then torque to 22 foot-pounds at the cylinder head, 27 foot-pounds at the fuel rail, and 18 foot-pounds on the support bolts to the manifold. That's it. That's definitely number 2. Man, what a fit, BD Diesel. That's awesome. The back one started first. So I'll give it to XDP and BD Diesel. All those new parts lined up great. Alright, so all of the torque specs to the cylinder head were 22 foot-pounds or 264 inch-pounds. Nope. There it is. Inch-pounds. With a grid heater gaskets, I forgot what they're called. They do only go on one way. Okay. And this. Here it goes. Bam. Next is our fuel injector harness. CCV hoses. That one. let's prime the fuel system and see if we have any leaks. So far, so good. Well, no leaks now. Check engine lights. It's not smoking in setting 1 anymore. That's good. Was all the way at that very back. I don't know if you can see it. I think that's an old lifting bracket. That's bolted to the back side of the motor. Will you focus? Boom. There you go. And I think up on that top edge, when I was torquing down that fuel rail, I was hitting the fuel rail instead of getting it tight on my torque wrench. So I think that right there was loose. Getting back to that thing sucks. Because I mean, you gotta imagine how far behind that firewall that it is. But that one leaked on me, so went back and got them all retorqued. I'm a little more confident in it now. I'm gonna spray some brake cleaner and get all that diesel off there. Fire it up, let it run a little longer, get up to temp, make sure I don't have any more leaks, and we'll go for a test drive. Alright, just got it rolled out of the garage, and it's almost up to operating temperature and no leaks. So we'll take it out for a test drive and see if it's any better. But first, let's find some so far, just the normal test drive went good. Seems like she's back to normal. And we'll watch this boost gauge. Hopefully I'm back up to 50. Here we go. Oh yeah, there she's going. Close. Yep. I think I hit 50. Oh yeah, she's got her power back. Well, I'm proud of her. She did good. Got back up to 50 pounds of boost. I'm even, you know, once my boost gets up there, it's spinning the tires, which I got some old beat up tires on this thing, but I really care about my time. It is a couple seconds, about 2.5 seconds faster, 0 to 60. So yeah, it was definitely the injectors. Pulled over, checked, it didn't have any more leaks, and well, I'm happy with her. She's back to where she was. So, and that's just on power setting 3. So now hopefully if I'm towing and I turn it up to 3 or 4, I don't kick down on passing people or up down hills. It was really struggling for one of those bad injectors. So well, we'll see how she does. Adios.